Good morning. We're going to start lesson 4, animation, adding animation to our Flash. So let's open up the ending one and see what that looks like. This is what we're going to create with the cars coming in, and you can see the middle car vibrating here at the end. We can blur out elements. We can have our title swing around and look more animated. So all of these are done through animations. And that's the power of Flash. So let's open up our beginning file, which is the 04 start.fla file. And let's make sure that it views fit in window is probably what I want here. And we're going to add some timelines, and some things are already created for us. So let's see what we have to start with. This is what it looks like to start with. So a lot of the animation is done. These guys are already vibrating. We're going to add the third car, the title. We're going to blur out her face. And the cityscape is what we're going to create in the background. So let's go ahead and get started on that. Let's go ahead and save this. As usual, we want to save right away. And I'm going to call it 04 working copy.fla. All right. So we're going to start by animating some position. We're going to animate the scene, the cityscape. So we're going to lock everything. We're going to lock all of the layers so that we can play with that a little bit. And we're going to create a new layer above the footer. So we click on the footer, we click on add a new layer down here, and we're going to call that city. All right, so that's my new layer, has nothing in it. Now we're going to go to our library and go to our bitmaps file and see if we can find the cityscape. Those are the car bitmaps. citybg.jpg, and we're going to drag that out onto the screen, and this gives us ways we can position it. I could change the scale of it, everything else, and we're going to set the position of that. Remember, in the properties we can physically set x to 0 and y to 90 is what they want us in the book, so that fixes it on the screen. Width and height we're going to leave alone. And now we're going to create a motion tween like we did with the alien. We right click and say create motion tween. All right. Cannot be tweened, have to be converted to a symbol. And we say, okay, we will allow you to convert it to a symbol. Okay. So it'll automatically convert that to a symbol, and now I have the city down here with a motion tween. And we're going to move our playhead to the end of the tween at number 190. So move our playhead all the way to 190 at the end of our animation here, and we're going to change what the cityscape, the ending position of that. So we hold the shift key down as we're moving this so that it constrains it in the X position. That helps us keep it lined up. So we're going to move it up a little bit, and just so that the cityscape is farther up. It doesn't matter exactly how much you move it. Remember, this is all a very visual interface anyway, so just moving it to where it looks good. And you notice that this creates the motion path. I moved it straight up in a vertical direction. And so now let's go ahead and play our movie, and we see that our cityscape is moving up in the background while everything else is going on as well. So we've successfully animated the cityscape. And I do that play faster than going to commands, control, test movie, play in Flash Professional. I use the control enter key. Control enter. It automatically exports it and starts playing it for me. So that's a little faster way to test it. So we're going to change the duration of the animation of that cityscape. So we're going to click and drag the end of the tween back to frame 60. So here's the end of the tween, and notice how my cursor changes to an arrow. I can actually move this all the way back to 60, and that means that the motion is going to happen only in the first 60 frames. So let's see what the difference is. The cityscape is actually going to move up faster, and then it drops off the end of the screen. It's no longer on the stage, which is not what we want. But at least it does the animation faster because it has to pick up the beginning and ending frames and do all the animation from 0 to 60. So it's only got 3 seconds to do that entire motion here. And we're going to drag the beginning frame to frame 10 on the same thing here. So we're going to go to the beginning, grab this and put it out to frame 10. So now it's going to be even faster. The frame only has the animation only has 50 frames to move up the same amount. All right, to fix the problem where at the end of this frame, so let's drag our playhead, the cityscape comes on at frame 10, moves up to the top, and then it disappears. We want this to continue on to be shown all the way to frame 190. So what we can do is we can hold the Shift key down and select all the way to frame 190 again. Okay, so what we've done is we've expanded, we've left the keyframe here at 60, it's marked by the diamond, but we've extended that last keyframe, we've told it to hold that until the end of my animation. So this is a way of saying animate up to this point to my keyframe, and then from that point on keep whatever was there all the way to the end of my animation. So you can see that now before that, let's move our playhead back, before that the cityscape goes up. When I hit the frame 60, it stops moving. We're no longer, here's frame 60. It moves up to frame 60, it stops, but it stays on the screen. So that allows my symbol there to remain on the screen invisible. All right, I can change that where that keyframe is. If I hold Control and click, I can move just that keyframe and this is a little tricky to do. What you need to do is click on the frame, click somewhere else on another layer, and then hold the Control key down and click just over the diamond. Now I can keep the once I've selected that one frame, I let up on all the keys, and I can move just the keyframe around. So now the motion happens all the way to that keyframe and then stays on the screen. So it's all visual. I can move that piece back and forth now once I've selected it. So the control click selects one frame, and then I can move that frame back and forth, and that changes where the animation is going to stop. All right, so let's add some transparency to this. We're going to move our playhead to frame 10. This is where this is where the cityscape first shows on the screen. I'm going to select it by clicking on the cityscape on the stage so that I can see the properties, and I'm going to choose the alpha color effect here. And I want this alpha to be 0. So at the beginning of the frame, it's going to be at 0. Then I move the playhead to the last frame. Here is where I want that no, sorry, my cityscape is here. This is where the motion ends. And we're going to change that, select the item, the cityscape on the screen again so that we can see the effects. Select alpha and move this all the way up to 100%. So now not only is it moving up, it's changing in transparency at the same time from invisible to fully opaque. So all of that is done at the same time between frames 10 and 60. The book, I think, had us move this back down to frame 40. So I can do that. I control click, let up, move this to 40, and now everything is going to be the same. So it'll just move faster. So it first shows up on the screen, becomes opaque, and now we're done. It's done moving, and it's fully 100% non-transparent. All right, so let's see what we have so far. Let's play it, see what we got. Isn't that cool? So we've got our cityscape moving. So let's go on to look at some animation filters. And we're going to look at the actors layer. And we're going to lock everything so that we don't mess up the cityscape. Let's lock everything except the woman layer. So we'll lock everything and then unlock the woman layer. There we go. And we're going to select the woman on the stage. There's the woman. And we're going to look at the properties of this. So we can look at the filters. These are various filters that I have. And we're going to need to make sure our playhead is at the right place. So the actor here is at frame 23. And we're going to add a blurring effect. So click on the woman again, blurring effect, add down here, add filter, and we want to add the blur effect. And we're going to set these values to 20. 20 and 20. They're locked together so that they both change at the same time. So it's going to be blurred at 20. And now we can see the effect of this. Now the woman is blurred in the background. Isn't that cool? So her animation is moving to the left, but at the same time she's being blurred in the background. So we're going to move our frame to 140. Right click here and insert a keyframe. And we're going to insert a keyframe that deals with the filter again. So now I have a filter here and a filter at the beginning of this at the same place. So now we're going to, that animation blurred up to this point. We're going to move up to frame 160. And set the blur filter now the blur filter now is going to be back at 0. All right, so it should be fully unblurred now. So let's look and see what happens. So she's blurry all the way to this point. At frame 140, she begins to start to become unblurry, and now we're back to fully crisp. And then she stays on the screen till the end. So we can create this autofocus kind of animation as well using these filters. All right. So let's lock all of our filters again. This is, all of our layers. This is really good to have. We're going to click on the middle car, insert a layer, and call this one left car. All right. Now we're going to go to frame 75. insert a keyframe, F6, insert a keyframe, and now we're going to drag our car from the car bitmap, the left car, onto the stage. So there we go. Now we have it on the stage. All right, we have the car on the stage. We're going to select the free transform tool, and we're going to shrink this guy a lot smaller, so he's a tiny little guy. And then we're going to change his position by selecting properties again. His X position is going to be at 710, and his Y position is going to be at 488. That's his starting position. And then we're going to select alpha for the color effect. Back in the properties, let's select him again. Okay, what I did wrong was I selected the graphic image instead of the symbol, so there's no way to do transparencies on a graphic image. So I need to delete that off the stage and start over. Back at 75, let's drag the car left symbol onto the stage. That's a whole different thing. And let's control this size. So let's go to the properties and shift click, shrink this down so he's about 400 pixels in width, which is about here. So his width is 400 pixels. And now let's move him to the right position again, 710 and 488. And now he's correctly there. Now we can select the alpha for the color effect. And let's set him down to 0. And then we're going to right click on the car stage and say create Motion Tween so that the rest of this now becomes a Motion Tween. We can move our playhead to 100 and change the alpha value for the graphic that I still have selected here. And if it doesn't change, notice how I moved around the properties, changed to easing and everything else. I want to move my playhead and then reselect the symbol on the stage. Now I can change my alpha up to 100%, and he's going to grow from that point. And we have a new keyframe automatically created here. Now we're going to select the freeform tool and hold the shift key down and make the car larger. And we can use the properties inspector to make the width and height different, 1379.5 and 467.8 pixels. We're going to position the car using the X and Y to 607 and 545. All right, so there we go. Now we can move the left car layer between the middle and right car so that they're overlapping correctly. And let's check out our animation now. So now he comes out transparent, fully transparent here, and then starts growing. So here's where he's fully transparent, and then he grows from that point. Isn't that cool? All right. At this point, the book goes off and plays with the alien spacecraft and the alien body. I have a separate video for that, so you can go look at that video. It's a short one and talks about changing and modifying the motion editor itself for each of these motion paths that we have. So let's go and move on to using some preset eases now on page 140. So we're going to click on the library and the car left and double click on that. And now that gives us the symbol editing mode. And we have two pieces. We have a lights and then we have a small rumble. Two different layers that make up this car effect. So we're going to right click on the car and choose Create Motion Tween. And now it's a tween layer that I can animate the layer correctly. Unfortunately, I had the wrong. No, it's right. Sorry. So now I want to move this to the end of the play, and we'll move the card down by about 5 pixels. So I'm going to hold the Shift key down and move him down a couple pixels here. So now the playhead, he's going to go down, so it looks like he's just rumbling up and down there. Okay. Now we're going to click on the Motion Tween that we have here and open up the motion editor, and we can see the scale, the eases, simple, slow, all of that. We're going to go and click on the plus sign in the eases side. So here's the eases. We're going to click on plus, and we're going to add a random ease. Now what happens is it jumps from one value to another in random intervals. All right, and it shows this, if we make this, bigger, here's our random one here way at the bottom. You can see this little small, very light graphic that looks like a square wave. So randomly at some point it jumps up and randomly at another point jumps back down again. So all right, right now we have 3 steps basically, 1, 2, 3 in the 20 frames, and so we can change this to 15, and it will create a bunch of different random jumps and stops. Now we're going to select the basic, let's close our eases, let's look at our basic motion. And for the ease, instead of no ease, we're going to select random. All right? So let's go ahead and try to play this now and see what happens. So he jumps up and down, jumping up and down, rumbling along. Isn't that cool? So now we're going to add some, let's go back to our scene and the timeline, and we can see some of that animation won't actually show the randomness until we actually play that, because it's hard to do randomly as we're just scrubbing back and forth. So we're going to go back here, we're going to click on cars, we're going to insert a new layer. Above that, we're going to call it title, and we're going to lock everything, and we're going to insert a new keyframe, and we're going to lock everything but the title, obviously. We're going to move our playhead to 120 and insert a new keyframe. Right click, insert keyframe. All right. Now we're going to move the movie clip symbol called movie title movie title. Remember to get the symbol itself. We're going to move that out onto the screen. And we're going to position it using the properties to a specific 180 and 90. We're going to right-click and create a Motion Tween. Right-click on the symbol, create a Motion Tween at 120. And now we can change what that's going to look like. So let's go to move to 140 and select the 3D rotation tool, which is over here on the side, the 3D rotation tool. And now we can rotate this around various axes. All right, with that selected, you want to deselect the Global Transform button here at the bottom of the toolbar so that it's not going to apply to everything. And we're going to do some transformation. We're going to click and drag it around the green axis, the y-axis. So we click on the green here and tell it's about 150 or about 50 degrees. So to see that, we can click here and rotate this guy back and forth. Whoa. Right, till he's about 50 degrees. This shows he's at negative 50 degrees. You can also just type in negative 50, and that will move it back around. Then we're going to move the playhead back to 120, and click and drag the title to rotate in the opposite direction. So we can just type in 25 here as well. All right. So now we're going to go ahead and let's play this and see what we have. There we go. Look at that. Isn't that cool? The other way to test this is just to move our playhead back and forth. So it starts like this, moves all the way over to the right. So those are between those two keyframes, and then just stays there. So I think we're finished with that. Go ahead and test again, see that we got everything done. And remember to save your project and send me the saved project. I've gotten quite a few blank projects. So make sure you save this. And send me the FLA file for this. Thank you very much.